crafting buddies. Guess what? Laura's little bit of crafting is here a little bit early. Hopefully that doesn't throw people off too much. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States coming to you at 11:07 p.m. June 19th. So welcome. I already have my other device connected here. It connected pretty quickly today, so I can see if anybody joins me live and interacts with some comments. I love it when you do that. And what I'm going to work on is the card from last night was a fun fold using the Notes and Totes Bundle. So I used the Newsflash You're Fabulous on the front and the tote bag. So I featured mostly the dies, and I added this little hibiscus flower after because I thought, oh, I think I need to do something. And now it occurred to me I don't have it on there, so I might have to do that too. We'll see. I think that's a good idea. So anyway, we ran into a couple of just minor issues that I wasn't really happy with how the card was turning out. And it probably would have been fine because, you know, people like fun folds and they know they're not always perfect, but, you know, they should be. I like things to work, and it just wasn't working how I was hoping. So let me see if I can stamp this with a little bit of force to get past those. Whew. I've got dimensionals on there, so that was a risk. But I could have always put another piece on top. So let me clean this off. I've got a bunch of stuff off to the side. I got my paper pumpkin kits today. I have the textured notes stuff here from last night. A couple things I have not put away. So let me go ahead. I wiped this on my little mini chamois here. Well, it's a chamois that I cut in half, so it's not really a mini. It doesn't come as a mini. I make it a mini. So what I did was we had this fun fold and the little bag went in here, but I had to be careful because I didn't want it to hang over out of the bottom of the card. So just kind of to recap, I used a piece of cardstock that I did 8.5 by 11, and I don't have one in hand. But if this was open, it was 8.5 by 11. So I cut it at 5.5 this way, so I just had a little strip left, and then I cut it at 9.5. And then we scored it at 3. We scored it at 7.25 because that left the center at 4.25, and then we had extra to fold over to make our gift card pocket. So I put tear tape on there. We made a little pocket here for our mechanism because we're making this more than just a fun fold. We're making a fun fold action figure. So here was the front. We kind of played with it a little bit, and I thought I liked it with this designer series paper. I liked it with the Blackberry Bliss, but then the Blackberry Bliss seemed like kind of a lot in your face, dark. So then we decided to put like this little newsflash newspaper or whatever on there. And then I added the hibiscus because I thought, oh, that looks really cool. When I flipped it over, because this is not necessarily a 3D item. I mean, you could slide something in there, you know, who knows? It's attached too much to put the gift card here, but the gift card is intended for inside the card anyway. But you could put something small in there, I suppose, if you felt like it. So we added that. I added another layer on here because it was just easier to stamp last night. I was kind of tired when we got done. So I just stamped these on another cutout and I just glued it onto the front. All right. So when I did this tote, I did 2 handles and I glued them together just because I like it to seem a little more sturdy and finished. Okay, so then on the inside we have a strip that is not quite 4 1/4 up and down. So it's like 4 1/8, I think. Something like that. Let me get my ruler. I just cut it a smidge short. I didn't cut it to an exact measurement. So yeah, 4 1/8, and then I scored it at 1 inch. Okay. And you could change up how far you score it, I suppose, but the idea is it has to fit in this pocket. Okay. And you could even move it over to one side or another. I kind of had it in the center here. And when I put, so I need to attach the top to this piece here, right? So I've got my tear tape on here because that's what makes the mechanism work, all right? So when it's attached to there, it pulls the mechanism out. The mechanism has to be long enough so that it stays in this pocket without falling out, all right? And then when you go to close the card, it slides right back in. See how that works? So it's really easy to get a card to move, all right? What I didn't really anticipate was when we put the tote bag in here yesterday, I knew I would have to fold over the handle like the bag was open because otherwise it wouldn't close properly, all right? So we'd kind of put it in here, and when we closed this, I had to move this tote down a little bit so that it would kind of camouflage it. So it was working, all right? But then we still have this plain kind of in your face Blackberry Bliss here. So I thought what I would do is make another little like newsflash card. And let me get these out of the way. I am going to use this Tags of Thanks, and I'm going to use You're the Best. And we're going to put You're the Best on here. And I'm thinking maybe I should put Newsflash You're Fabulous on there again, so it just kind of seems like it's the same page, just more revealed. So let's go ahead and find that. And we'll put that on a block. We'll stamp these things quickly, and then I'll show you how I'm going to put this together. So we'll put this back on top, and I am going to get my piercing mat today just because it's a good idea. I usually get a better image that way. And I might not always get it quite straight because looking at an angle, sometimes it's hard to line it up, but that's close enough probably. All right, so we can put this away. And my little flower, for whatever reason, keeps attaching to the top piece. So I keep my sheets in here just so I can make sure all of my stamps are accounted for. I kind of do a head count before I put things away on a good day. All right, so on the bottom here, I want to put this You're the Best, because the newsflash on the front of the card says, Newsflash, You're Fabulous. So on the inside, I figured I wanted to find something that would kind of go with that scene, that sentiment rather, or that theme. So I thought You're the Best from Tags of Thanks would work. But look at how big it is. Obviously, that's not going to fit on there. So from time to time, I do surgery on my photopolymer stamps. I don't do this on my red rubber foam ones. But I will take them and take my snips and just cut them apart because it doesn't really matter. It'll be fine, okay? And if I want to use them all together, all I have to do is use a big enough block and just put them together and it's fine, all right? So we're going to do Your on here. And then let's wipe it off. My chamois really getting a workout with the Blackberry Bliss. And then we're going to put the Best. All right. Oh, and I guess that didn't quite transfer all of my ink. There. Let's wipe this off again. So if you're joining me live, feel free to pipe in if you've got questions or comments or suggestions. Let me know where you're watching from. And welcome. Thanks for popping in. So now when I put this back, I'm just going to make sure that I've got both pieces in here. Whoops. Oh yeah, I don't know. There we go. Something like that there. Oh, who knows? There we go. Oh, we'll flip it over. It's a struggle tonight making a puzzle go back together. It's upside down and backwards, and there we go. All right, so I'm done with that. Tags of thanks. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of that piercing mat. So this is just going to go here. Now, part of what I wasn't real happy with yesterday, and I'm going to, I took it apart. I used my embossing gun, my heat gun, and I warmed up the tear and tape that I had yesterday so that the adhesive gets softened and I was able to take it apart. So this was affixed in here, and you might be able to see a little residue here from how we did it yesterday. But part of what I was not happy with is when I closed the card, when this came out and I closed the card, it kept getting hung up on here. Now, if when I closed the card, I kind of curled it a little bit, it was fine, but I'm going to see if this resolves it. So if we put this kind of on a diagonal here, this is on a diagonal, and if we kind of put it on a similar diagonal trend, that might help feed that purse down, the tote down where we want it. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take a Post-it note just so I can see where I've got the sticky part up here, and I'm just going to lay this here and put it to the top of that Blackberry Bliss so that I know I can just put my adhesive here. All right. And we'll put just a little bit of the multi-purpose liquid glue. And I put just a thin layer, but I put it all over. And then I can just use this piece again to kind of line it up on the Blackberry Bliss where I wanted it to go. And we could probably move it over just a smidge. I don't want it to interfere with the mechanism, all right? So that can go back over there. All right, Post-it notes are great. All right, so what I did then with my little mechanism piece, again, this is just, I've got 4 1/8 down here. So instead of 4 1/4, because this is 4 1/4, then I scored it like 3/4 of an inch or an inch. And then I put tear tape on the part that's visible. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tear tape, or remove the backing rather, and expose all of it at once. And let's see if this works. So if I put, now in my head it worked fine. So if I put this down like this, well, actually, let's go like this, because I want my tote bags to kind of line up from front to back. And if I go like this, look at there. Okay, so now that doesn't, it didn't quite work. I need to figure out how to make a stop on here so that that doesn't pop out all the way. So it's still hanging up on here. So then I might need to do like an acetate sheet or something, because it's not hooking up on here anymore. But I guess I should have done that at 3/4 of an inch, not an inch, because it's just coming out of here. All right, so let's try this again. I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to take this off. I didn't press it super hard, so let's just try this again. So don't score yours in an inch. All right. We're going to get this. All right, let me go get another piece of the Timid Tiger. And I'm going to cut it at 4 1/8. Hopefully you can hear me cutting here. And then I'm going to score it at 3/4 of an inch instead. Let's see if this will work. So this is 1 1/4 inches across, 4 1/8 here. And you could have this wider if you wanted. It doesn't really matter, but I just did it like 1 1/4 inches. So let's put this back in here again. Let's put some more tear tape on here. I am determined to make this work. All right, and then we're still gonna put some tear tape up here. And I'm gonna only put 1 strip instead of 2. All right, let's see if that helps. And I like to burnish my tear tape. And then let's go ahead and take these backing pieces off again. All right, let me clean up my debris. We'll get rid of this. We'll pretend that never happened. But, you know, sometimes when you're doing something new, it's just trial and error. That's what's going to make it work. All right. So here's our tote on the front with our little news flash. Our little news flash continued works on the next page. Here what I'm going to do is I'm again going to put the tote aligned with the top one. And this tote, by the way, is a 3D one. So I did 2 with that die, in case you weren't with me last night. So the Notes and Totes dies. You will take this piece and you'll cut 2 of them. And then one of the because they're going to go back to back. Okay, so one will go here, one will go here. And they score automatically so you know where the folds go. But this little tab piece here, I cut off because for this kind of fun fold, or like this one, which is what I did the night before, you don't want those tab pieces in there because it'll interfere with how it needs to open and close when you do the fun fold. All right. So if you didn't see this one, if you like that, we did a couple of colors. So we did the Timid Tiger, we did Strawberry Slush, and that's just a little piece of tissue paper I put in there because a gift card will go in here. I would suggest using a glue dot to hold your gift card in. And then we also use the Darling Duckling. All right. So that was from a couple of nights ago. All right. So anyway, back to this. So I'm going to have this in here and I don't want it to go past my little news flash newspaper. All right. And let me get these out of the way again. We don't need those anymore, I don't think. But what I'm going to do then again is line this up so that the top tote is going to camouflage the next tote. And we're going to lay these down and see if this works. And my tear and tape isn't low enough on here. It's too high to catch. So trial and error. So my thought process now is go ahead and put this piece on by closing it there while it's in the pocket. And then we'll pretend I don't have this tear and tape on here. We'll just take that off. All right. That works. So then we'll put tear and tape just on part of this. And let's see. So we can kind of put it near the top of here, I think. I think that'll work. And I'm just going to put one piece because yesterday it seemed like there might have been too much tear and tape on here. That was kind of helping it get hung up. All right. So now let's go ahead and do this again. So we're using the tote on the front to help line it up. We'll close this. And now when we press that down, check it out. Pretty cool. All right. So just making sure I've got all the adhesive off. So now this newsflash piece was supposed to help so it doesn't get caught. It's still getting caught on this corner. So the only way I know to avoid that would be to maybe put, you know, maybe another newsletter here, but you have to make sure that you're not interfering with that mechanism. So maybe a different element, like maybe a water bottle or something, would help feed it through. Or there's lotion. I think the water bottle maybe would be easiest to kind of demonstrate. So let's just do one. I'm just going to do it in white because I have that handy. And let's just see if it works. But in theory, I mean, even if you didn't do anything else on this side, if you just bend it a little bit back, it works. So here's our card. I'd probably put a couple of embellishments on here. But here you can put a gift card in sideways. Again, I suggest using a little glue dot. All right. And then it closes. And I kind of wanted it to look like a little billfold sort of thing from the front, kind of the opening there. So I'm happy with this, how it's working, but I still want to see if I can make something else a little smoother there. So let's just see what this does. I can always carefully take it off. All right, so let's do this. And this is designed so that you have two pieces. You've got the water bottle and you've got the little straw piece. Usually that'll work for me, but it's not working today. Usually I can bounce them on the table and it'll press out, or it'll pop out the little piece. So there's our little straw. Let's get this out of our way. I call her Betsy, little Betsy. All right, and then this can go back in our dies so I don't lose it. And another one fell out. All right, so let's see what this does. And we could probably just take that hibiscus and we'll dress it up and we'll make it a white bottle. Or we could make it, oh, I know, we could use a blending brush and make this kind of a timid tiger bottle, just to give it a little color so it's not stark white. Let me go get my blending brush for timid tiger. We'll just add a little bit of color here. And I'm just going to leave part of it kind of white on the side so that it on an edge. So it just kind of gives it some dimension, like it's round. If that makes sense. I'm not going all the way to the edge. All right. Hello, Nicole. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. Where are you from, Nicole? I don't recognize your name, but I could have missed it before. So we'll put just a couple more little flowers on here. And we'll close up my ink so I don't get all inky. Perth, which is Western Australia. So is it like 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday for you? I have a few other people that watch from Australia, and I'm thinking that's what their time zone has been. Oops, I guess I didn't quite get that clean. So this is a continuation of a card I did last night, the fun fold I did last night, and I wasn't quite happy with how it was closing, so I'm trying to see if I can get it fixed tonight. And tomorrow, I think, what I'm going to do is, I got my Full of Charm June paper pumpkin kit, so I think I'm going to do that one tomorrow. All right, so let's get this out of the way. We can put our little straw on later. We can actually put the straw, maybe, there we go. We can put the straw on the cardstock rather than on the bottle, maybe. I don't think it really matters. But what I want to do is have this bottle kind of over here to hold all of those things down. All right, maybe. There we go. All right, let's just put a little piece of tear and tape. 1231. All right, so you're Eastern State, and I'm Central, so it's actually 11:33 where I'm at in the United States. So 12:30. So the other people that I have that watch me, that it would be 2:30 by them, but they're in Australia. Do you have time zones that are 2 hours apart in Australia? I know we do here in the States. We have like 3-hour differences from one side of the country to the next. And I'm going to actually take part of this. We'll just straighten that out a little bit. I want it to go the other way. There we go. Oh, that didn't work. We'll put another little piece of tear and tape on there. Oh, so the Eastern States for you in Australia are 2 hours ahead. Okay. That makes sense. I thought you were saying Eastern time here in the States. It wouldn't make sense, would it? Oh, I'm all right. But it's like bedtime for most people, past bedtime for most people in my time zone. But I'm a bit of a night owl, which is why I kind of use the moniker Late Night Lori. All right, so let's go ahead and take these off. And let's just see how this works. Hopefully that will resolve my problem, but then I'm still going to have kind of a blank spot, so we'll probably add something else still. So I want this over here because I want to just kind of cover up where this corner would hang on there. And we'll get that cut down, or pressed down rather. So check that out. And that works. Hot diggity, right? So, problem solved. Phew! So yeah, Australia has 3 time zones. I didn't realize you had 3. Eastern. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I got a little geography lesson today. I thought you just had 2 time zones. Someday I hope to visit Australia. Hopefully that'll happen. So here we go. There's that. Let me find a couple of gems maybe that might be good on here. If we use these in color flat pearls, we'll put a few of these on here. Love the pop-up element. Yeah, the little mechanism here with the tote in there. And a gift card does fit in here. I pulled one out of, actually what I used yesterday was my debit card so I could show everybody how it worked. Luckily the numbers are all on the back, but you could put, no! Somehow yesterday I had it working, but that won't work there. Oh, I know. I put cash in there. I put a $1 bill and I said, or you could put a $100 bill if you really liked the person. So yeah, a gift card won't work in here, unfortunately. Unless you did this fun fold without the mechanism and without the focal image here. You could certainly do this fun fold and just have the pocket here to put your gift card in there, and you could put your whatever note you wanted up here. So I'm much happier with how this is working because it was really hanging up last night. So if you haven't looked at last night's video, take a look at that one. Where did here we go, right in front of me. So let's put a couple of these little gems on here just to brighten this up a little bit. And I might use 5 of them. I usually use 3 to 5. But I think because of how it's split up here, I think I just need a couple extras. So we've got 3 kind of on the top part and then our other 2 down here. None of that will get in the way. This is probably going to be too thick. Yeah, cash is better, right? Cash is king. That's what we say around here. This will probably be too thick to mail standard. You might need extra postage. I know for me, we would need extra because of how thick it is. Because we can only have things that are a 1/4 inch thick. And that definitely is going to exceed a 1/4 inch. All right. So let me put my embellishments away. So here's just my little note of what my measurements were if you came in late. So I started out with a piece of cardstock. It goes longer than the width. So I cut it, long ways at 9.5. I cut it over at 5.5 here. So that leaves you 3 inches of a strip, and that's what I used to do my mechanism piece. And my mechanism piece was somewhere between 1 inch and 1.5 inches. I did 1 1/4 inches by 4 1/8, and then score it not more than at 3/4 inch. I found out today if I scored it at 1 inch, it didn't work. My mechanism piece was coming out of the pocket. All right, and you can certainly adjust these sections so long as this section is longer than this section. So you could make this one a little bit shorter, do your 4 1/4, and then you could have this fold over a little bit more. Okay. But there's that. I'm actually quite happy with how that's moving now because it's the corner of the tote is not getting caught anywhere, and it lines up with the front, and I think that has a little bit more continuity than the one did yesterday. So that's all I have. Let me see if I can find, you'll be able to see like if we put a fake $100 bill in there, because I have a single US dollar available. So if we pop that in there, I think that's just adorable. All right. So, phew, it works. So if you didn't watch last night's, watch last night so you can kind of get the gist of how we were creating. I had a couple of gals online who were collaborating with me to decide should we use this paper or other paper. And then if you want to see this one, you'll want to watch 2 nights ago or 2 videos ago, however it works for you. All right. So that's all I have for tonight. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you taking a peek, interacting with me. Feel free to share my video if you haven't subscribed. I would love for you to subscribe, like the video. That helps my channel to grow. So until next time, happy crafting.